Umoja, unity. Kujichagulia, self-determination. Ujima, collective work and responsibility. Ujamaa, cooperative economics. Nia, purpose. Kuumba, creativity. Imani, faith. These are the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Come celebrate with us. Adopted as the anthem of the African National Congress in 1925, this has become the anthem of people of African descent throughout the world.
Kosisikeleli Afrika, malupaka misu pangolwayo, yizwa imitandazo yetu, kosisikelela tina lusapolwayo, kosisikeleli Afrika, malupaka misu pangolwayo, yizwa imitandazo yetu, kosisikelela tina lusapolwayo.
Habari gani?
Morena buluka si chabasa esu, ufedise titwali maswenyeho.
Usibuluke,
usibuluke,
usibuluke morena,
usibuluke si chabasa esu, si chabasa Africa. Gude
She showed the world her heart, and the whole world loved her back. Celebrate the true story of Latin superstar Selena Quintanilla with Selena the Series. A rise to fame made possible through the dedication and courage of the close-knit Quintanilla family. Selena's journey transcends decades, communities, and culture. Share in the love and inspiration as these family stories are explored. Watch Selena the Series now, only on Netflix. Click or tap the banner below to find out more.
In these challenging times, JP Morgan Private Bank specialists are sharing their best insights to help you navigate market volatility. To benefit from over 200 years of experience, tap here or visit privatebank.jpmorgan.com/what's next.
As a small business owner, I have to wear many hats. I use my laptop 24/7. I need to be able to rely on technology. My name is Eric Ong, founder of Humble Potato.
Get time on your side like Eric from Humble Potato with Lenovo's X1 Yoga, powered by the Built for Business Intel vPro platform, delivering business class performance for a great user experience. Visit www.lenovo.com/gettimeonyourside to learn more.
From the depths of ancient forests, we hear the distant voices of our ancestors. The Shona people of Zimbabwe have played mbira, an instrument with deep spiritual connotations, for well over 1,000 years. Mbira is the national instrument of Zimbabwe.
baseball, but I'm not.
Hey, brother. I'm trying to forward to.
kingdom father does not include my unconscious. It's mine. I may abuse it any way I wish. But I wouldn't confess what's in it. Something I haven't told you.
Not only is God's work wonderful, God's work can never be undone.
Oh my God, the holidays are near. They're almost here. What do I do? Thankfully, it's easier to entertain all of my kids since I'm prepared. I've got the
are from Fresh Furs, New Normal, and Zoom.
Your daddy, did you do that?
Our semifinalists are from Fresh Furs, New Normal, and Zoom Middle School.
Are you ready to begin?
Yes.
Speller number 1. Please spell virus. Virus.
Virus. V-I-R-U-S. Virus.
Speller number 2. Please spell pandemic. Pandemic.
Pandemic. P-A-N-D-E-M-I-C. Pandemic.
Speller number 1. Please spell coronavirus. Coronavirus.
Coronavirus. K.
Speller number 2. Please spell coronavirus.
Will you use the word in a sentence, please?
Coronavirus is a germ that spreads from person to person and causes COVID-19.
Coronavirus. C-O-R-O-N-A-V-I-R-U-S. Coronavirus.
That is correct.
Congratulations. You are the BIC School District Spelling Bee winner.
Message from the BIC. Visit us at bicgr.com.
It's Kwanzaa, Kwanzaa. It's a holiday, come on, celebrate and rejoice. It's Kwanzaa, spreading unity in our families and communities. It's Kwanzaa, because our legacy makes us so strong. Yeah, yeah. So let us come together to celebrate this season of Kwanzaa. It is Kwanzaa, it's time to celebrate. And Nguzo Saba on this day, because Umoja, Kujichagulia, Ujima, Ujama, Nia, Uba, Imani. That is what we need. We gather around today to reflect upon our past. We've come so far, remembering all of those who came before us on Kwanzaa. From Rosa to Malcolm to Dr. King and Turner, yeah. From Du Bois to Citywide, we honor you on Kwanzaa. It is Kwanzaa, yeah. It's time to celebrate. celebrate. Yeah, on this day, we need unity, self-determination, collective work, and economic opportunity. Yeah, purpose is what we need, and creativity. Faith is what we really need. Moja, yeah. Kujichagulia. Ujama. Nia. Umba, yeah. Faith is what we really need.
Good evening, Grand Rapids community. Tonight, we welcome you saying Habari Gani, what is the news? And we're going to respond by saying the second principle for tonight, which is Kujichagulia, self-determination. So at this time, if you would like to unmute yourself and respond in saying our greeting for tonight as we greet you, which is Habari Gani.
Kujichagulia.
Thank you. Tonight, we are the Grand Rapids Alumni Chapter. My name is Yetunde Rotimi, and I am a member of the Grand Rapids Alumni Chapter. And tonight, we welcome you to Kwanzaa, which is the second night. And tonight is self-determination, which is Kujichagulia. And tonight, we are your host for the second night on behalf of our International Awareness Committee. And so at this time, now that we have greeted you, it is important that we do receive the wisdom and the knowledge of our elders at this time. And we ask for permission from the oldest person that is in the room tonight before we proceed with tonight's Kwanzaa ceremony. So at this time, I will ask for permission, and whomever I ask for from that age, if you are available tonight, if you do not mind unmuting yourself and letting us know that you are available. At this time, do we have anyone who is in their 90s?
I think it is explosion that happened on
In their 80s? In their 70s?
Get permission?
Is there someone that would like to give us permission that is in their 70s? I know we didn't have anyone from their 90s or 80s, but is there anyone in their 70s?
I'm in my 70s and you have permission.
All right, thank you. Can you mention your name for us, please?
Valerie Smith.
All right, Valerie Smith, thank you so much for giving us permission. We thank you for your knowledge and your wisdom. So at this time, Ms. Valerie Smith has given us permission to proceed with Kwanzaa. So on behalf of the Grand Rapids Alumni Chapter and our International Awareness Committee, we say Habari Gani and Kujichagulia. Thank you.
Kujichagulia.
Chagulia. All right, at this time, we are going to move into the pouring of libations. And this is an opportunity to call on our ancestors.
No. Why would my light need to be turned on in my room? And I didn't ask you to. Okay, well, you guys sit in your room. I saw them. Ask Jada, does she have any water in her room?
Sorry. If you haven't, we're going to mute everyone, and then you do have the ability to unmute yourselves if you need to come off. Okay. Excellent. All right, so we are going to move into the libations, and this is a tradition that keeps us connected with our ancestral world, giving due honor and respect to those who have come before us, trespassed before us, and so we invite them, all of our ancestors before us, those known and unknown, those seen and unseen, to the gathering that will be another holy spot to be hallowed to. That will be another spot, another holy, hallowed ground to bring forth the message from our ancestors to you. So we are going to capture all the names that we can this evening. We're going to ask that you drop the name of your ancestor that you would like us to call upon in the chat. And our Sora, Tanya Moyer, will call them out as our sister and Sora, Paula Collier, pours libations into the living plant. Are they going too fast? I see the first one.
Maddie Ruth Hill. Joanne Bordley. The Andres. Charlotte Kyle. Grace Price. Imhotep. Haywood and Esther Winkler. Quincola Wyatt. Joan Fuller. Grace Price. Fred Hunter Sr. and Jr. Eunice Miller Jackson. Ruth Rebecca White. Dora Smith. Kanara Price. Pamela Clinkscales. Cardell Moyer.
Ashe.
John and Stella Smith.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Robert Hancock Sr.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Mary Davis.
Ashe.
Feel free to unmute and Ashe.
Thank you. Brianna Taylor.
Ashe.
Dave and Marie Lanier.
Ashe.
Agnolia Hurd.
Ashe.
Gerald Brown.
Ashe.
Violet Newby.
Ashe.
Sandra Blatt.
Ashe.
Francis King.
Ashe.
Minnie Catherine DeMyers.
Ashe.
Amodu Diablo.
Is it living or deceased?
Ashe.
Willie Davis.
Ashe.
Gladys Oakley.
Ashe.
John S. Williams,
Ashe.
Juanita Forrest,
Ashe.
Martin Luther King,
Ashe.
Betty Brown,
Ashe.
Jacqueline Greer,
Ashe.
Diane Armstrong,
Ashe.
C. Gloria Michener,
Ashe.
Frederick Douglass,
Ashe.
Arvin and Joyce Austin,
Ashe.
Bessie Battle,
Ashe.
Reverend Dennis Willis,
Ashe.
Sam Allen,
Ashe.
Grandma Dilsley and son Allen,
Ashe.
Valerie Miller Edgerson,
Ashe.
Mr. Sidney Bailey III,
Ashe.
Doris and Charles Satterfield,
Ashe.
Carl and June Smith,
Ashe.
Rosalind and Sherlock Knight,
Ashe. Ashe.
Judge Benjamin H. Logan,
Ashe.
Ella Sims,
Ashe.
George Floyd,
Ashe.
Louis Ray Evans,
Ashe.
Asadada,
Ashe.
Engene Davis,
Ashe.
Roseanne Love,
Ashe.
Patrick Robinson,
Ashe.
and Eric Hartfield,
Ashe.
Bud and Noma Hardiman.
Ashe. Ashe.
And that concludes the names.
Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
Ashe.
Okay, so now we are going to move into discussing our principle of the day. So Kujichagulia, that is our second principle in the Nguzo Saba that's celebrated on today, December 27th. And Kujichagulia means self-determination. This is one of my favorite principles. And so I will let my sister go ahead and give us a definition and an explanation of what Kujichagulia means.
Like the candle. We can see you. You can go ahead and light the candle now.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was struggling for a lighter. I light the candle of Kujichagulia.
Kujichagulia, self-determination, to define and name ourselves, speak for ourselves, determine who we are as a people. Do not wait for society to tell us who we are. We stand on the shoulders of self-determined, historic, and local individuals. These individuals are the archives of our history. The African American DuSable Museum in Chicago, Illinois, was an inspiration for the vision of investors like Oprah Winfrey and the construction of the Smithsonian African American Museum in Washington, D.C. Also, a vision for Mr. George Bayard's Art in the African American Museum in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Mr. Bayard's self-determination as an African-American bookstore owner, inspired 6-year-old Sydney V to read All Because You Matter by Tammy Charles. Also, your books have determined him to become a prince and king like his Black Panther superhero, Chadwick Boseman. 5-year-old Quinn Elise, self-determination, is to read Acoustic Rooster's Barnyard Boogie, starring Indigo Bloom and written by Kwame Alexander. Quinn wants to become a princess and dance like the belle of the ball. Grand Valley State University professor Dr. Robin Colton and Principal Bernard Colton's self-determination have inspired students to pursue their education in STEM. Principal Jerry McComb and educator Rondo Cooper's self-determination was to teach students how to tie a necktie. The self-determination of Dr. Denise Logan and Dr. Ralph Mathis inspired Dr. Lisa Lowry and Dr. Charles Du Bois. Astronaut scientist Dr. Mae Jameson's self-determination inspired astronaut scientist Dr. Ronald McNair to travel into space to the moon. Hattie Beverly's self-determination to become the first African-American Grand Rapids Public School teacher inspired Superintendent Dr. Gerald Dawkins, Administrator and Mathematician SB4, Dr. Kelly Christopher, Executive Director of STEM Greenhouse, Dr. TCB, University Director of STEM Curriculum Program for Cure Scholars, Mrs. J, School Psychologist to CEO and CEO to Psychology Therapist, and Mrs. Sanita Lanier, from School Board President to Third Ward Commissioner. Judge Benjamin Logan's self-determination inspired engineer and attorney Kenyatta and attorney Tracy Brain, founders of Grand Rapids' first Urban Scout troop. Kathy Harris, Gertrude Kroom, Deborah Clanton's self-determination successfully registered voters. Jamil Robinson, self-determination as CEO, is an inspiration network to Grand Rapids area Black businesses. The owners of Candied Yam, Daddy Pete's, 40 Acres, self-determination is an inspiration for restaurants. Greg May Jr.'s self-determination is founder and CEO of Nexus IT Systems. Angela Nelson's self-determination is to effectively and professionally promote virtual technology. Mr. JC's Military Red Cross self-determination successfully administers assignments and benefits to soldiers and their families. Congressional members Jim Clyburn and John Lewis' self-determination inspired Good Trouble to elect our 44th first African-American Yes I Can President of the United States of America, Barack Obama. Dr. Dorothy Irene Height, civil rights leader and women's movement advocates' self-determination inspired congressional members Maxine Waters and Shirley Lee Jackson to encourage Shirley Chisholm to seek candidacy as the first African-American woman for President of the United States of America. Marcia Fudge, self-determination as past president of the Black Congressional Congress, former mayor of Ohio, inspired Mayor Bottoms of Atlanta and governor candidate Stacey Abrams. Currently, Marcia Fudge is President-elect's Housing HUD Secretary. Congresswoman Kamala Harris' self-determination positioned her as our first African-American woman vice president-elect for the United States of America. And her favorite Kwanzaa principle is the second one. This is her favorite, and she believes, be about it and do it. Our ancestors gave us strength to endure, tradition to enrich our lives, faith to believe in ourselves. In the spirit of Kujichagulia, let us continue their sacrifice, knowledge, and love.
Thank you. We will now have a reading of a children's book by Sora Tanya Moyer. She is a self-published author, and she will be reading her own book entitled Jesus Power.
Habarigani.
Kujichagulia.
Kujichagulia.
So I'll be reading for you Jesus Power, which was written by myself, Tanya Moyer, illustrated by Piper Adonaiah, who is also a local artist here as well. Did you know that God has given every boy and every girl the exact same power that he gave to Jesus Christ? Did you know that you have Jesus power? Did you know that God does not want us to be afraid of anything, not even the things that might scare us at night? God gave you the power to command anything scary to leave right away. And so my friend here is saying, I'm not afraid. In Jesus' name, I have Jesus power, which is a prayer that anyone can do.
Stand up. Get over here.
Did you know that some friends get teased because they're different? But did you know that God made us
Bring
all
me the green bucket.
special? We are all just the way God made us. God created us with our own gifts. He created us all with Jesus power. And so my friend here is saying, don't listen to him. God made you special and he loves you just the way you are. So we all can speak up. Did you know that God wants us to say nice things and not mean things, like my friends here? Jesus power gives you the wisdom to speak with positive and good words. And so my friend here is saying, pain go, healing come in Jesus' name. Another simple prayer for anyone. Did you know that God doesn't like it when we tell lies? And so we have a brother and sister who are saying, he did it. And he's saying, she did it. When we don't have to be afraid, God has given us Jesus power. Our Jesus power gives us the courage to tell the truth. And so she's saying, I did it and I'm sorry. And her brother says, that's okay. I forgive you and I still love you. Very powerful, simple words to use. God gave you Jesus power to make good choices. And so mom is saying, no cookies until dinner. Jesus power helps you to make good choices. And so my friend is saying, I have the power to make good choices. And so he does not eat the cookies and listens to his mother. Did you know that God wants us to live like Jesus? God gave us Jesus Christ and the Bible so that we could follow his example. And so my friend here is reading and she's praying. Did you know that God is always with you and he will help you whenever you need help? So I have some nervous friends here. Your Jesus power will help you to not be nervous. Your Jesus power gives you the courage to sing praises out loud. God loves to hear your praises. Did you know that God gives special gifts that live inside of us? Did you know that God will give you big dreams? So we have some big dreamers here. Uh-oh, are you able to hear me? Okay, all right. Did you know that God gives us special gifts that live inside of us? Did you know that God will give you big dreams? So I know we have big dreamers on the line. You have gifts, you have power, you are wonderfully made, and you are special. You are blessed. And so my the last picture is an image of a friend who has on the armor of God. I don't know if you can see that, the helmet of salvation, the sword of the spirit, the belt, the breastplate of righteousness, the belt of truth, shield of faith, and the shoes of peace. And that is my book, Jesus Power. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much.
I say.
And you all can give her, you can use your reactions too if you like. On the bottom of your Zoom panel, you should see a button that says reactions, and you can give her a hand clap, a heart, celebrate. And that Jesus power certainly reflects self-determination, right? The power that we have in ourselves to be kind, to forgive, to have energy, to do the things we don't want to do sometimes. Well, great. We are going to move into our next segment, which really, and thank you to Sor Bailey. Many of you who have crossed paths with her in the media center at Ottawa Hills High School at maybe one time. I'm not from Grand Rapids, so I don't know. I know there's all kind of, there's different high schools and people have their allegiances to their high schools, but Ottawa Hills is well known. And so I'm sure you have come into contact with Mrs. Bailey at one time or another, and she is just a book of knowledge in herself, right? She has all these wonderful facts about our community, and she did a great job tying our local community members to our principal today. But we are going to show a video that helps to further explain self-determination, help to create and build some motivation in you. And then we're going to try these breakout rooms again this evening. We're going to do it a little different than we did last night. So at the conclusion of the video, we're going to open up 3 breakout rooms. The 4th breakout room will be the main room that we are all in currently. And we're going to break out into generations. So we have our kind of Gen Z, our youth, where I think I said 23. I went and did some fact checking, but 23 and younger, youth and young adult. And we have a couple of members who will help to moderate that conversation. And then we have our millennial and Gen Xers. And then we have what we're calling our senior advisors. And then in the main room, it's going to be an intergenerational room. And if you are watching on YouTube Live, we invite you to join us in the Zoom environment. And I've dropped the link for you to do so, so that you can actually be a part of the conversation, or you can observe the conversation in the main room. But we are going to, again, pair off into generations. And I will assist those who need assistance with logging into the room. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But let's get into this video, because it is certainly motivating.
I'm on government assistance, and I run out of money, and I had to buy Pampers for Jelani. And I had $11.42 in the bank. And I remember wrapping my son in a towel for 2 days. I remember the second day, like you said, I had my hand on Jelani's stomach, and I said, "Don't worry, baby. Mommy will never be this broke or broken again." And that day, what shifted for me was I was willing, and I don't know if this is gonna sound crazy, I was willing to completely die to any form of me that I had been, so that I can birth the woman that I was becoming. The reason why a lot of people won't become who they want is because they're too attached to who they've been. And you hear it all the time when people say, "I've always been this way." Okay, well, if that's working for you, keep doing that. I knew it wasn't working for me any longer. I had hit my version of rock bottom. So I was willing to let go of everything and everybody. See, another reason why people won't get there is because the doorway is for you to fit through. You trying to carry everybody else through because you're trying to be Rescue 911. And you got to rescue you first. I am much more valuable to my family and to my community because I was willing to let them go through the door myself, teach myself, learn myself, condition myself, and then come back and get them. I'm much more valuable to them now. But I had to go through a window time of 10 years of judgment. You leaving us, hanging out with white people all the time. You going to these crazy countries. We don't know what I had to be willing to allow my conviction to make me inconvenienced. See, we want to grow, but we want to stay liked by everybody. I was willing to be my own rescue at the risk of your approval. But most of us aren't like that. Facebook is an example. We want to be liked. Well, I woke up and I like myself today, so your like is extra. My job is to like me first. I was willing to say every day, "Lisa, you like you? Lisa, are you proud of you? Lisa, are you playing full out?" Every day before I checked in with anybody else. I was willing to inconvenience my entire life. My entire life. I was willing to disrupt my entire life to buy my future, to buy my possibility, to give my dream a chance. See, we're not supposed to tuck our dreams in on the pillow when we get up in the morning. We're not supposed to leave them at home. We can go and fulfill somebody else's dream. We're not supposed to do that. That's not what we're wired to do. That's not who we are. Your human spirit doesn't care about the economy. The human spirit doesn't care that my son's father went to prison. The human spirit doesn't care what's happened to your family. The human spirit doesn't care about the past. You may have been molested, or your family may have been broke, or you may have been betrayed, or you may have a divorce. Your human spirit doesn't care about any of that. Your human spirit simply says, what's our command for tomorrow? What do you want to create? It's not keeping score. Your brain is keeping score because your brain is designed to keep you safe. Your soul, your intuition, your human spirit is designed to make you soar. When you get to the edge, your brain will always tell you to step back. It's always going to tell you to step back. Because you can fall, always. It's gonna tell you to step back. Because before you fell, the last time you did this, you saw someone else fail. You could hurt, you could be off work. It's gonna tell you, it's designed to keep you safe. So you have to be willing to play between your brain and your soul. And on some days, you gotta just listen to your soul. And you gotta say, I'm gonna leap, I'm gonna get to the edge. Most people are at the edge, and you're sitting at the edge, and you're watching everyone else fly. That's Pimp My Ride, Watch My Crib, all this stuff. You know, watching people's lives on Facebook. You're at the edge, watching someone else live, wondering what it's gonna be like when you jump without ever jumping. And I'm just here to tell you, jump. Because only 3 things can happen. You're either gonna jump and fly, or you're gonna jump and fall on something soft, or you're gonna fall down hard. Either way, you're gonna get back up. You already know you got what it takes to get back up. Your greatest fear is not that you will fall. Your greatest fear is that you will live a full life and never fly. That you never leaped. You're not afraid of dying. You're afraid of dying before the world sees who you really are. before they really get your fingerprint, before they really feel your breath, before they really get your contribution, before they really feel you. That's what you don't want to happen. You don't want to leave this place without us knowing you were here. All I'm doing is giving my dream a chance. And I'm not extraordinary. You don't get off the hook. You don't get to be let off the hook. I'm an ordinary woman who chooses every day to make one more extraordinary decision.
We have a motto. We all we got, that's all we need.
We invest in
everything that I need to get back up, I have in me. If I don't have what I need, I can go get it. Once I figured that out, the world was my playground. The question was just, where do I go get it? I don't know about that. Where do I go get it? Right. And I don't come from a learning background where I was a great student. I wasn't, my highest grade in school was a C+. And when I got a C+, I did the happy dance. And so I didn't have a background where studying was natural for me. But when I realized that if I go study something and I learn it, I own it, it's mine now, man, it was crazy because all through school I struggled. The last time I took an English class, my English teacher told me I was the weakest writer she ever met in her entire life.
Lovely.
Yeah, lovely. And the same year I took a speech class, and my speech teacher, he said, quote unquote, Ms. Nichols, I recommend you never speak in public, that you get a desk job.
Wow.
And so
That's mean.
Yeah, it's just, it was demotivated people, sad people, hurt people hurt, sad people make other people sad. Bottom line, don't take it personal, hurt people hurt. See, most people want the convenience of transformation without the inconvenience required for transformation. So my grandmother says, and I love to repeat this, your conviction, what you're passionate about, your conviction and your convenience don't live on the same block. They ain't even in the same zip code. So if you want to have a conviction for something, you have to sign up to be inconvenienced. We're trying to find convictions and passion and breakthrough on the inside of our box. Well, when you realize that the box doesn't even exist, like someone made up, oh, you're playing outside the box. So we all bought into, there's a box. Well, I don't even own a box. I don't even want to get in your box. You better come out here because I ain't getting in there. And so when you start thinking like that, Tom, all of a sudden, everything is possible. So I disrupt people when I say, you want to make me extraordinary because it lets you off the hook. What if the God that we call God, the divine, whatever your faith is, what if there's no partial? It's not gonna give me a hookup and not give you one. Not gonna give me an opportunity and not give you one. I'm just gonna go after it. If I die, I'm gonna die on a treadmill, like Will Smith said. I'm gonna be on the treadmill running. I'm just not gonna stop because I believe all things are available to us. I'm just willing to go after them. Are you willing? And then that is so disruptive because then you gotta make a decision. Because it's easier to live inside the parameters of, well, as a Black woman, well, as born and raised in South Central, well, I'm dyslexic. I wrote 7 books, I'm dyslexic. So just knowing, I'm not perfect. What I do really well is I manage my imperfection well. And so we're all waiting for perfect. It's an illusion that will never come to you, and it's an excuse to never show up and play. Your story is not meant to be your fortress. Your story is meant to be your fuel. Any story. Like the beauty of me being one of the top 1% earners in America is that I was on government's assistance.
Right.
That's the beauty. Come on, it wouldn't be a big deal if my family was rich or whatever. I'm supposed to do something. The beauty is that when you show the little engine that could story, I'm not gonna run fast, but I ain't gonna stop running. I might slow down and have to breathe and catch my breath, but I'm not stopping. Because I believe all things are available to all of us. And good people should do well. Because when good people do well, good people just do more good in the world. I'm that same girl who ran track for Dorsey High School, who struggled to get into high school, who got kicked out of college because I couldn't afford to stay. That was on government. I'm that same girl. I don't forget her. I'm also that same woman who runs a multi-million-dollar business. I'm also the same woman who has 7 bestsellers. I own both of those. I own all of it. I don't shrink to my greatness and I don't live in my saga and my sorrow. If you can own your brilliance while owning your imperfections, if you can own your giant while owning your smallness, if you can live in duality, constant duality, the freedom will be earth-shaking if you can live in that. See, either you don't want to be as great as you really are, and you're trying to dim your light so that others won't feel insecure about themselves in your presence. And so you keep playing at 79 watts when you know you're supposed to shine at 159 watts. And you keep checking the temperature of the room to see what the room can handle versus just giving the room you and letting them, if your light's too bright, then let them put on some shades. Can you give yourself permission to live in the duality of your imperfections and your smallness and what you're learning and what you still have to learn and your greatness and your brilliance and your light? Can you allow them to coexist and then serve them up to the world? To love you, to see you, to inhale you, to judge you, to leave you, to love you. Some of us are just as afraid of being loved as we are to be left. If you go where you've never gone, do what you've never done, and say what you've never said, you'll become the woman and the man you've always known yourself to be.
Hey everybody, it's Dean Grez.
Wow. Ooh, that was powerful, right? I hope that helped to set the tone for the community conversations that we wish to have with one another, and really invite you all in to share. So while we open up these break rooms and we help to facilitate the conversation, we all want you to be active participants in the conversation, in the rooms. And we encourage you to share. If you have a similar story as Miss Lisa Nichols, or if it's different, all of us have had to leap. And if you haven't leaped, I think that's what we're talking about today, is self-determination. What is holding you back? What is holding you or keeping you, your light dim? What is keeping you at that 75 wattage level? I just see, we have let's just pause for a second and welcome Yusuf Muhammad, all the way from Ghana, West Africa. Let's give him a virtual clap, or Ashe. Thank you for joining us.
Ashe.
Ashe. Yes, welcome. He was having a little technical trouble there, but we got him in. All right, so again, I am going to open the break room. We will have 4 rooms. This main room will be one of them. The first room is the Generation Z, that's under 22, Millennial to Gen X, and this is you self-identifying, and you certainly can go into a room that's not representative of your generation too, that is fine. But we do have Millennial, Gen X, 23 to 59, senior advisors over 60, or if you want to stay in this room, this will be an intergenerational room where we would touch all the generations and have the conversation. So when I click on open all rooms, you should see a dialog box that pops up, giving you the option to select the room that you want to join. And you should be able to select it and hit join. And if it gets too confusing for you, just stay right here, okay? And we will be breaking out for 25 minutes. You will see a clock that will give you all a update on how much time is left, and you will automatically be brought back into the main room. So again, we invite you to join a room and be active participants in this conversation tonight. Thank you. The rooms are now all open, and you are welcome to assign yourself to your room of choice. Soars, please join the rooms that you are helping to facilitate. And I will join my room momentarily. Thank you. Now, I'm going to okay, seniors, look at them. They're figuring it out. I'm looking at the millennial room is building. That Gen Z, do we have any children and parents? You're certainly welcome, and we encourage you to join the room if you do choose to go into the young adult or youth room.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. Well, I don't see any more movement, so I will take that to indicate that if you have not left the room, that you are
choices.
Okay, brother, is that Brother Talib? So you should. Do you see 3 little trailing dots at the bottom? Something that says more.
Oh.
You know what I can do? I can put you, would you like to go into the senior advisors room? What room would you like to go into? Or would you like to stay here?
I want to hear what the young folk are talking about first.
Okay. Which young, the youth and young adult?
Yes, and then I'd like to go to the seniors so I can see the contrast.
Okay. So I will have to manually move you, but I will do, I'll put you into the youth room, and then in about 10 minutes, I'll move you over, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Can you do the same for me? I don't have the choices either.
Okay, sorry about that.
Neither do I.
Ned, where would you like to go?
Young adult.
Okay.
And then, yeah, then the senior, do the same thing.
Okay, y'all gonna keep me busy over here. Who said, so do I?
And I was looking for the intergenerational room. I didn't see that.
Can you say your name?
Valerie
Sister?
Smith. B. Smith.
Okay. Okay, if you're staying for the intergenerational room, you're gonna just stay right here. You're not gonna move. So if you want to be in the intergenerational room, you're gonna stay put. You don't have to move at all. Was there anyone else that wanted to move but couldn't find their?
I was in the senior mentor room, but I got knocked out. Could you put me back?
Yes, so I'm sending you there now. Okay. All right. Are we good?
Also, it was LaTanya Jones. I think they were saying something also that
Tanya, I see Tanya. I see LaTanya. Yes, LaTanya, where would you like to go?
You know what? I'll just stay right here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, Shalita. Okay.
Be put into the millennials room. This is Sheena Brown.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sheena, you're welcome. All right. I think I got everyone. I do. Well, you all have a fruitful conversation. I'm going to hop into the millennial room now.
Well, I guess I can start with our room. This is the main intergenerational room. I think we can all relate that there have been times in our life where we have found ourselves at a point in the road where we have made a decision one way or the other to either proceed or just not knowing which way to pivot, and really wanting to have change. And we have had that, come to Jesus moment where we say, Lord, where am I and what do I do now? And I have definitely had that come to Jesus moment where I have said, Lord, what do I do? Jesus, you feel like you can't see him, you can't hear him. It's like, Lord, and being a woman of faith, I consider myself and my family, my grandmother, from my family, from far as I can remember, always saying, trust God, trust God, trust God. That's where all of your faith and your power and your strength comes from. And when you in this life and seeing these things and these changes, and you in a moment of time where you're just saying, I have done all I can do, and I see nothing what do you do? It's like, and I have had that moment more than once. And I tell you, I have been so self-determined to try to keep proceeding and keep trusting and keep trusting. And I tell you, it takes a long time sometimes. Sometimes God answers right away, but he does. But I think it's, he doesn't answer you when you sit and become complacent. I have found that he does keep his word, and he responds when you occupy yourself and you sharpen your saw and you continue to just, you know, sharpen your arsenal, prepare yourself, fill your quiver, and just keep it, you know, keep yourself, you know, prepared and dress for success. Continue to dress like you're going on to sit in the CEO's chair. And, you know, anybody can tell you, I'm not sitting in that seat, that's for sure, not yet. But that's not to say I won't be one day, but you just continue to do that. And I believe that self-determination, and that's what I teach my children, to continue to keep plugging and pushing, determination. And they too get weary. And we as a people get weary, but we have to continue to support one another and to speak positive words and to speak encouragement and to speak life instead of failure, and to encourage, not to give those negative vibes and that negative information. But I'm not going to speak all the time, but I can keep going and on, but you know how I get carried away. But anyway, that's what I wanted to say. But God is good. So we have to continue to promote ourselves sometime. You have to just promote yourself and just speak to yourself and speak life into yourself and just keep it going. Keep it going, no matter how it looks. Just keep it going. Thank you for that moment.
So we'll go ahead and go next. We went through a moment of where we were self-determined, I would say, within the past 6 or 7 months. We just moved across the country a couple months ago. And it was definitely a decision that required a lot of thought. It required a lot of prayer. We went back and forth several times, I think, just because of the comfort that we had where we were, but knowing that something greater was on the other side, and we just went ahead and took that leap to move here. And so I think that now that we are here, you know, again, you know, our children are very happy with the move. I think we're very happy with our move. Our family dog is very happy with the move here. We're closer to family now. You know, but I mean, clearly with COVID, it still puts a strain on that. But I just don't think that, you know, I don't regret this decision at all. You want to add anything to it?
No, you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It took, I don't think that I reflected upon it as self-determination until just thinking about Kwanzaa right now in this time. So it's a blessing to be able to think of it and reflect on certain decisions that you've made and processes and things that you've gone through, and be able to relate it to this principle, and then be even more intentional about using that principle in the next steps. So.
I hope we can hear from the young one, because it is an intergenerational room, so that would kind of round it all the way out.
What do you want to say about moving or self-determination?
About moving.
I love everybody, and I love the Lord, and our best doggy Chala is so cute.
Ashe, there it is.
So Hi, I'm Carolyn King, and sometimes whenever I struggle with a word or a principle, I like to define it. So I was looking at my laptop, and so today is Kujichagulia, which is self-determination. And so self means by one's own efforts or by one's own actions. That's the definition of self. And determination means firmness of purpose or resoluteness, the controlling or deciding of something's nature or outcome. So when we think about self-determination, the video that was shown was really powerful about the power of our own determination. And often I'm not externally motivated, I'm internally motivated a lot of the time. But with COVID, it's been very, very difficult, I think, to stay in that authentic internal motivation, because it's just been such a lack of external, and I like to call them pace cars. Like, this is what came to me today. Normally we're at a pace where, we're running with the pace car, like in a Grand Prix, right? So the pace car is running at about whatever, 80, 90, miles per hour. And we're keeping up with that pace car. And COVID seems like it took that pace car down to like 10 miles an hour. And we're like keeping up with that 10 mile per hour pace car. And it's like, whoa, this is kind of boring. This is not a race. This is something different, right? This is a walk. And so as I was thinking about that and watching it happen with like everybody around me, everybody's pace has changed, including my own. I thought, you know what? It's nothing wrong with a walk. It's nothing wrong with a walk, okay? Sometimes you're gonna run the race, and sometimes you are gonna just walk. And when you're walking, it's more of a tour. It's not a race, it's a tour. You don't take a tour racing, you take a tour walking. And in touring, we've been able to see so many beautiful things, just like last year when we came up with this Kwanzaa idea at LifeQuest. We wanted the future to hold everyone getting together and doing Kwanzaa. Now, we did not want COVID to make that happen. But the beautiful thing is, so many different organizations. Now the Deltas are hosting today, and yesterday was the grandma. And, we're all looking into Grab, to see what is Grab doing in terms of Black businesses. At least I am. I'm just much more aware of being intentional about what's already there and taking the time to not try and recreate it, but just to take the time and acknowledge that flower, acknowledge what it's doing. So I think that part of self-determination, has required me to be internally motivated more than just externally keeping up with the pace car.
I agree. Ashe, everyone, and happy Kwanzaa. We'll just piggyback off of Ms. King here, but I agree that it's been an interesting opportunity. The space that we have right now as an artist. I am used to also going at this pace, but what I think I have learned most through this time, and it's been a very difficult time, but on the other end, I think that I have grown a lot from it, is that you need to have space in order to create. Otherwise, we are just doing and we are just moving. But to actually be able to create, we need to have that space. And I think that this season that we are going through allowed us to have that space and then decide what we are going to do with it. And that space is everything from our externals with our jobs and work and our lifestyle to even the clutter within our minds. And I say that for me, because I can have clutter in my mind when I just have so many projects going on. But when I had to slow down and I had to stop, my mind I was able to go to different places that I didn't realize that I could journey to. And and for me, I was able to flourish a lot more, I think, with my art and creativity. So I am grateful for this, but I am in the sense of self-determination. I was stuck. The first part, I did not take those steps to use the space creatively because I just kept thinking, oh my goodness, what's going on? But when I changed that perspective and started to look at what can I do with the downtime, when God settles your mind and keeps everybody out, now it's up to me to decide what steps do I go in what direction. So once I started doing that, I'm able to really to see what a blessing this season has brought. And sometimes we get the worst stuff out of the inconvenience and out of the storms. But then we just have beautiful flowers that can flourish after that. So I think that's where I am now when I think of self-determination, just in the sense of where I put my perspective and my energy. So just wanted to share that. It's good to be with you all today.
Ashe.
I think I'll jump into the conversation. I really agree with what you just said, Kanara, and it's sort of what everybody else is saying, but the thought of self-determination, I think, really requires self-examination, really thinking about what your dreams are, what you do well, and what you need, what you might want, and then what you need to do to get there. Now, COVID has maybe made us open up that space, as Kanara said, has created that space for us because perhaps we can't do what we were doing beforehand. And so it almost says, okay, now it's time to figure it out if you haven't figured it out yet, and then go for it. In my earlier life, I was married to someone in the military, and it's like, you have these ideas, and suddenly you're assigned to a different part of the state, part of the world. I mean, and it's almost like a COVID. It's just like, well, I was on this trajectory, and now the government says, I got to go over here. And so I think we are often, during the course of our lives, put in a place where we have to stop and think, okay, what's the next step, and what do I need to do to get there, to fulfill my dreams, and what the gifts have been given to me, how do I make them work? What do I need to do, and where do I need to move? It might be like Sydney said originally, you might just have to pack up and move in order to make that dream come true. And without something to make you stop and think about it, you might get stuck. So I think self-determination really has something to do with self and making a decision about what that next step will be and what you need to do to get there.
Ashe. I can go next, Tanya Moyer. And this is just in agreement with what's been shared already today. I can tell you, at least 5 years ago, the thing that was holding me back, that was a question that Angela shared before we went into the breakout rooms. And my reason or excuse was always time. I don't have the time to be able to do X, Y, or Z. And while I was a busy person, I went back to school to get my MBA. And of course, you find time to go to school. You have to find that, right? And so then there were no more excuses, because if I can find time to do papers and to sit in class, then I have time to do the things that I need to do. One of the tools that I used in helping me to move forward was a vision board or a dream board or a goal board, whatever you want to call it. But writing down the things that I needed to focus on. And it worked so much that now I do one a year, or sometimes I do 2 a year. And now my family, all my kids, they have to do one a year as well. Just so that we stay focused and we stay motivated. Like Mrs. Smith talked about earlier is, self-reflection and looking at yourself. And even the speaker today really talked about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. You got to get in that space in order to advance and move forward. And so the two things that I know that I'm, in my self-reflection is being aware of the statements I can't, or that's not really me. At one point, I remember saying, I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't have that mindset. And so fast forward, I have several businesses now because I stopped saying what I can't do and pushing myself in the space of saying, I can do this, or challenging my kids. If I tell my kids, I want you to do this, I got to do it too, right? So that becomes the thing that challenges me in moving forward. So right now I'm in the space of watching the I can'ts and also setting my sights bigger. I play things pretty safe. I'll step out and do something. I'm pretty good at that, but I'm always looking at that one step, not looking at the bigger picture. So for me, that's something that I'm working on right now.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Anybody else? Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, as we are talking about self-determination, and we're going to be getting back with the other rooms pretty soon, right? Is there going to be a sharing of the overall gestalt of what has gone on in the room? Do you know if there's going to be a sharing?
I believe Angela did say something about the groups coming back together, and whether it's a summary or being able to share something that's been discussed in each of the rooms, just because you have your millennials and Gen Xers or whoever, you have all the different generations in the room. I do believe that we'll be able to come together and share a little bit.
Yeah,
So
I believe there is going to be some sharing. But what I wanted to tap into a little bit, because I do live in the city of Grand Rapids, and I'm very aware of all the shootings that have happened in the city, and I'm sure everyone else is too. And I wish there was some method that we could, as a people, identify to tap into connecting with our young men, young women, but mostly young men. This baby that I have here, her father was killed before she was even born in October. And I wish there was some method that we could address among I can't even get the words out. It's our children. It's our children that are killing in the street. I don't know how they're being enticed. I don't know how they're being seduced to, is it money? Is it identity? I don't know how they're being attracted. What do you think? Is it so, I mean, when you look at self-determination, is it identity? Is it?
I think it can be all of that. I mean, and we are, as African Americans and Africans, we are a collective people, and we come from a collective thought where we are supposed to be concerned with our neighbor and our community. We learn together. If you see us when we are in our light and our glory, it's because we are together as a group. But America is definitely an individualistic mindset. And so I think that as generations continue to go through, we have lost a lot of that connectivity and lost a lot of those areas that that keep us together as a community, where I am responsible for that little baby that you've got in your lap there, or for Sydney's family over there. And we all feel that together. So whatever I'm doing, it's much bigger than just me, because I have to go to you all. Sorry?
So real quick, is it too late to turn it around for our children?
I don't think it's too late, but I do think that it's going to take time and effort. And again, we have to go back to where, we live in a society where everything is instantaneous. We want things. We have lost a lot of that, drive and that integrity of just who we are and the work that we put in. So I think it's possible, Ms. Collier, but I don't think it's going to be easy. But things that are beautiful aren't always easy, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, we got to think about how we can change it, because it's still happening. It's happening.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I know the time went by that was 25 minutes. We were afraid that it was going to be too much time, and maybe people will feel like, there wasn't enough conversation, but I can tell you that the millennial generation, we ran out of time. As someone was in mid thought, but hopefully you had fruitful conversations and things that you could continue to think about and put into action for yourself. And hopefully the video was just a great launching pad for that kind of as a motivational, as a spark to set you on your way. If you have felt like you've lost your way and you need to find your way back onto your path, it's not all lost. Like you have time, as long as you're here on earth, you still have time to fulfill your dream and reach your potential. In all the generations. And I didn't get a chance to pop into our senior advisors conversation or our youth or the intergenerational, but I'm just going to trust that each room was a safe space for dialogue and for healing for someone who needed to hear something. Even if you didn't say anything, maybe you were taking all of the thoughts and words and knowledge in tonight. So we are going to, and yes, Mr. Baird made a point in the chat that we are leaving the chat room open for about an hour we did last night. And if you want to continue the conversation, please stick around. You don't have to leave, but we do have a few more things before we wrap up our formal presentation to you all. So I'm going to turn it over to our president of the Grand Rapids Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta, Miss Mia Guthridge.
Hi, everyone. So before we end this celebration, it was self-determination is a good conversation. It's a topic for a good conversation. We're leaving 2020 that threw us all type of curveballs, had taken us up, has taken us down, has leveled us to the ground. We are about to leave 2020 and we are now going into 2021. The lessons that we have learned about ourselves in 2020, we are redefining it now so we can be better in 2021. However, before we close, I would like to hear what the other breakout sessions was talking about in regards to self-determination. So we will take a minute for each one. So can I have someone from the youth breakout session to speak on a minute and give me a summary of what you all talked about as it relates to self-determination? I would like to hear it. I'm sure the other attendees would like to hear as well. So one person from the youth group. You have a minute.
I'll go. So from our youth group, let's see. Some of the takeaways, that conversation really kind of went back to the parents. Our youth really kind of bragged on their parents, and they talked about the examples that they see, you know, in their homes. They talked about, you know, how much they see their moms and their parents work and how much they do and how much of an inspiration it is for them to find their own self-determination. And we talked about career goals and, you know, those kinds of things, and just did some brief introductions so that we can kind of get to know each other a little bit better, where we're from, some of the things that we want to maybe do in the future. So our conversation was pretty much tied into how much of a positive impact our youth's parents have in their lives as authors, as, you know, career people, professionals, and so forth. So that's what our conversation centered around.
Thank you. And I see that Aaliyah Armstrong, you have your hand raised. Would you like to share with us? Thanks, Bree.
Hi, it's actually Annika. I'm go ahead. Hello.
Hi.
I just talked about how it's inspiring and motivational to see like my mom do great things, and that really motivates me to do better in like school and the other activities that I do.
Thank you, Miss Annika, for sharing. We appreciate that. That's awesome. That is awesome. Before I go to the next group, is there anyone else from the youth group who would like to share what you, a summary of what you all spoke about? Hearing none, let's go to our millennials and our Gen Xers. I know I have a few in there. We had a lot of conversation, very positive conversation. Would someone like to share a summary of what your group spoke about? Come on, millennials. Don't let me down. Don't let me down.
I'm nominating Dallas to speak on his point. He had a real good point about being a box breaker.
Thank you. All right, Dallas, you've been nominated.
So does this mean that I'm a millennial now?
You're one of them.
I was just simply saying that as a senior millennial, a junior Gen Xer, that you know, I've been in a position where older generations have you know, tried to put me in a box. Very similar story to you, Mia, in terms of, you know, even a counselor saying you're not college material, even though I had been president of the student body for a couple of years and president of the National Honor Society. But so anyway, but, you know, so I had these people who had been box makers in my life. And I think now as a Gen Xer, I feel like I'm just kind of in the middle where I'm still, you know, young enough to be a box breaker from people who had, you know, breaking out of boxes that people had tried to create for me. But I also have to be careful not to be a box maker for my children and the younger generation that are coming after me. So I, you know, I want to learn the lesson not to make the same mistakes as others made in my life.
Thank you. I appreciate you for sharing. Anyone else in the millennial Gen Xers group would like to share? Just one more. Don't let me down. Thank you.
Who? Oh, okay, me. I was trying to give someone else because I'm always talking. So I was really oh, we raised a couple of questions. Am I who I ought to be? And am I who I really say I am? Those questions kind of, you know, poke holes, right? And are we living out our purpose? And I think all of us think we are, or we believe we are, but sometimes we can be distracted by the world around us, whether it's the imposter syndrome or just, self-doubt. And so just being reminded that we are where we're supposed to be, but yet we can't limit ourselves either. So we referenced the video where she talked about living in the duality. If there are moments where we don't feel like we're truly, pressing toward that purpose-driven goal, and we might be faking it until we make it, that it's okay to live in that space as long as we're still moving forward. We're looking for ways to progress. And so, who we ought to be, someone said no, because at that point they're probably dead. Does that mean that you've done everything that you have been commissioned to do here on earth? And so it's a good question for those who are thinking about that for themselves, but that was a part of our dialogue. We kind of touched on a number of things.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. I do appreciate that. Let's see if we can get 2 volunteers from our senior advisors group to share with us what summary of what your discussion was about.
Okay, I will. In our group is it was the 60 and over, right? So most of in our groups, we have been where you guys are trying to get. So if we didn't have the determination at the millennial and the youth to continue and press on, we wouldn't have gotten to where we are today. A lot of us in this group are retired. We have done a career, we have raised children. So we know what self-determination. I gave the experience of myself. I was born and raised in Mississippi in racial environment. I knew myself that that's all I wanted to be, a nurse. Nothing else interested me except being a nurse. And as I went through Northwest Mississippi Junior College, I was told that I could not be a nurse, that I could be a nurse aide. And I was determined to make them out a lie, that I could be a registered nurse. And if I hadn't have had that determination, I wouldn't have gone through, and I have retired over 35 years as a registered nurse. So you have to have that self-determination, and also knowing God, putting him first in our lives, and knowing that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. We have to have that self-determination to be all that we can be. And one of the, Mr. Davis has said that he has a sign said, keep your head to the sky. You have to keep looking up. And another one said, being positive at all times. And so you just have to know yourself, know that you was made in God's image and that you can do anything that God has planned in your life. My favorite verse is, for I know the plans I have for you, and it's not to harm you, but to prosper you, but give you a hope for the future. And you have to stand on that. God knows the plan, and you just have to walk in it. He's going to open the door, and you're going to walk in it. Just be self-determined to do what you know you want to do.
Thank you for sharing. I do appreciate it. Do we have another volunteer from the senior advisors group that would like to share for about a minute? Hearing none, let's go to the intergenerational group. Do we have 2 volunteers that would like to share with us a summary of what your discussion was about? That was the group that was led by Paula, CB, and Tanya. Do we have someone that would like to volunteer from that group?
I'll start a little bit. We talked a little bit about things that were connected. Some people shared some personal experiences, and others just kind of in general what things we need to do. But one thing became evident, that self-determination was also very much linked with self-actualization, understanding who we are and what it is we are supposed to be doing, and then to move within that space. And then at the end, I think when you all were coming back, we started to talk about how we, what can we do to uplift and to build our community, especially our young men and women that are being killed in the streets and dealing with violence and so many other things, and how we can do that, and if it was too late or not. And of course, I think we all definitely know it's going to be a struggle, but it's something that we can continue to get through, and that, you know, we have a lot of strength within our community. We just have to bring it forward.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else from the intergenerational group that would like to share? Thank you. If not, let's do the chant. When I say Harambe, you repeat after me. So would you all and raise your hand when we say it. So you can take yourselves off of mute, please. This was a great discussion on self-determination, and reflect on it. Do a vision board, do some journaling to make sure that you that you define yourself of who you would like to be going forward. Harambe.
Harambe.
Harambe. All right. Thank you guys, the Grand Rapids community, for allowing the Grand Rapids Alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta to host the second principal in Kwanzaa. I may say it wrong, but I've been practicing.
Kujichagulia.
Kujichagulia. Self-determination. Time. I was practicing it in my head, and I knew when it was time for me to say it, I will mess it up. But self-determination, we do appreciate the community coming out, the wonderful conversation, the awesome video that just took us back and allowed us to self-reflect. I thank you all for this opportunity, and you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Thank you. Before everyone jumps off, we have just a couple more housekeeping things that we need to do as a committee. So because of the generosity of our sponsors and the community message that they are sharing with everyone, given that we're still dealing with COVID, I'm going to play the video one more time, and then I have some announcements that are going to roll right after. So just stick around.
Our semifinalists are from Fresh First, New Normal, and Zoom Middle Schools.
Are you ready to begin?
Yes.
Speller number 1. Please spell virus. Virus.
Virus. V-I-R-U-S. Virus.
Speller number 2. Please spell pandemic. Pandemic.
Pandemic. P-A-N-D-E-M-I-C. Pandemic.
Speller number 1. Please spell coronavirus. Coronavirus.
Coronavirus.
Coronavirus.
Speller number 2. Please spell coronavirus.
Will you use the word in a sentence, please?
Coronavirus is a germ that spreads from person to person and causes COVID-19.
Coronavirus. Coronavirus.
That is correct.
Congratulations. You are the BIC School District Spelling Bee winner.
Message from the BIC. Visit us at bicgr.com.
And just have a couple of so tomorrow, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So tomorrow, we will be celebrating principle number 3, and that is Ujima, collective work and responsibility. And our community partner that will be hosting that will be the African Kingdoms Federation of the Diaspora. Brother Talib Amin will be leading us in that conversation tomorrow, and other volunteers to support. We want to thank our event supporters again. This is truly a Umoja effort this year, and it's been evident. And we really thank you for coming alongside one another. Our supporters, financial supporters. So we have shared with you that in keeping in tradition, we are planning to provide each child with a book. With a $10 e-gift card while supplies last. And these gift cards will be distributed the last night of Kwanzaa after the program, after we have a chance to finalize everything and audit. We'll send an email to you all with the link to redeem your gift card. And it can be redeemed online at We Are Lit GR or at the African American Museum, which is located at 87 Sheldon downtown. They are open and you can visit there during their business hours. And then on Friday, we just want to remind you that we'll be celebrating with a meal after the last this is I'm saying it right, Corona Fest, right? So this is where we will dine together. So think about what you want to prepare, and we will feast together here on. And then we ask that you continue to share the link in the event page with friends and family. There's 42 participants right now, but we had 60 tonight, around 70 last night. So we look to continue to grow and continue to improve our technical performance. But I think tonight went very, very well, and we just appreciate all the engagement. And we look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Now, you may stay after and just hang out in the chat room. We'll keep it open until about 8:30. As long as there's someone in here and there's conversation. I think there was a question trying to, someone just the address to the African American Museum in the chat. Oh. Thank you. Be blessed. Have a great evening. Stick around if you like.
Good night.
Good night.
So
Good night.
Good night.
if you do stick around, this is like a Kwanzaa clubhouse.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Adi.
It was a great session tonight. Nicely done, Angela and crew. Oh, she dipped out. Oh, no, she's right there.
You're welcome.
I was